Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got how the universe is way bigger than you think. Today is elaborating on some of the other videos that we've done from history and the military and history of the entire world, I guess. We're trying to switch up our content a little bit. So now we're going to this one, which is a recommendation from you guys in some of those videos in the comments. You have left this one as a suggestion. So I think we're going to talk about how the universe is way bigger than we think.
Yeah, and how we're just a tiny little speck of dust.
Yeah, and I did take astronomy in school. I didn't major in that or anything, but I took a couple of courses because I was interested in learning about it. And it was pretty mind-blowing to learn some of the details back then, and I'm sure I've forgotten most, if not all of it. And
I feel like space is fascinating, so I'm excited to see this.
And probably am going to have my mind blown again like I did in that astronomy class. So you ready to check out how big the universe is?
I am. Let's do it.
Let's go.
This is Earth. You live here on this planet somewhere, and everything that you've ever known is located right here. But just how small exactly is Earth when compared to the scale of the entire universe? Let's start by zooming out to where we can see our nearest cosmic neighbor, the Moon. You may think that the Moon is very close to Earth since it dominates our night skies, but in reality the Moon isn't this close to our planet, it's actually about this far away. 384,400 kilometers away from you right now on average. You could fit 30 entire Earths in between this distance, and if you somehow were able to drive a car at a constant 100 kilometers per hour speed, it would take you about 160 days to drive the entire distance. Despite this incredible distance, however, 12 humans have actually set foot here, representing the furthest away that any individual human has ever been away from the Earth, and one of humanity's greatest achievements. This is what the Earth would look like from there if you were standing there with them, and if you wanted to communicate with somebody back at home, it would take a message about 2.5 seconds to travel between you and them, since that's how fast the speed of light can travel at. This is a photo that was taken on Mars, and that tiny dot that you see there is Earth as seen from the Martian surface. On average, Mars is an incredible 225 million kilometers away from Earth, but that distance can be as high as 401 million kilometers. That means that whenever humanity finally gets around to landing a human on the planet, that person will be 986 times further away from Earth than the astronauts who landed on the Moon were.
Wow.
In addition, the time delay for sending a message from Mars back to Earth isn't just 2.5 seconds, it's actually more like 20 minutes each direction, which would render instant communication in the event of an emergency impossible. When we zoom out even further away, we can find the Voyager 1 space probe, which is the furthest away man-made object from Earth. It is currently located 138 AUs from the Earth, AU meaning astronomical unit, which is the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which means that Voyager 1 is 138 times further away from us than the Sun is.
Wow.
At some point on its long voyage, Voyager 1 turned its camera around and took this photograph. It may not look like much at first, but in my opinion, this is the greatest single photograph ever taken in all of human history. This tiny, pale blue dot is Earth, and I don't think that anybody has ever said something as amazing about this as Carl Sagan when he said, "If you look at it, you see a dot. That's here. That's home. That's us. On it, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever lived out their lives. The aggregate of all our joys and sufferings. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and every forager. Every hero and coward. Every creator and destroyer of civilizations. Every king and every peasant. Every young couple in love. Every hopeful child. Every mother and every father. Every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 17 kilometers every single second.
It's pretty cool how in that picture there, that you've got this beam highlighted on it too.
And it's like right in it.
Yeah, perfect timing for the photo.
Yeah.
And like he said, it seems so simplistic, the photo, right? that it's you just look
this
at it as this
dot.
little dot, right? We see so much intricate detail on photos and videos now, but that's everything in the entire human civilization
is in that tiny speck.
Little speck there. And all when you start to sometimes I try to do this when you start to think about the vastness of the universe and your problems. It's like, are my problems really that important?
Yeah.
Right? When you think about how long the universe has been around for and how vast it is, it's like, is my problem that I can't get I spilt my coffee? It's like, is that really a big deal?
Yeah.
And really puts things into perspective when you start to look at a picture like this.
Yeah, this like absolutely blows my mind, and just makes you really think about what else is out there.
Yeah, I mean, and it also makes me think about how scary that is, right? In terms of a civilization, like we're just this little speck. So, if an asteroid or something like that decides it's going to come to our path one day, and we haven't gotten to a place like Mars, as they were saying, that's it. It's all done.
Yeah.
Right. And we're so reliant on being on this one little speck. Right. And we really think we think we've achieved so much, but we haven't, because we haven't been able to even get off this planet yet. Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to Elon.
I was supposed to say, Elon, let's pick up the pace there, pal.
Yeah. I mean, people like to, I think, make jokes about, Elon, why do you care about Mars so much? There's people on the planet that are starving and dying, which is true, but it's always been true as we look back in history.
He's like, I'm already over this speck of dust and I'm on to the next.
But the thing is, though, like if you can get onto one speck of dust, another speck of dust, your chances of survival go up infinitely.
Yeah. Because
it's not just this one place now that you're so reliant on anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I think it is a really valid objective that, as a species to try to get yourself to a different planet.
Yeah, well, with how they just described how far away it is, though, like I feel like that'd be really impressive if they can get somebody out there in general.
Valid point. Very valid.
You got to get one person there before you can colonize the whole planet.
But with that said, look at the technological advancements that we've had over the past 20 years, right? In the next 50, who knows what's going to be possible?
That's true.
You'll have a robot flying you out there.
Yeah.
Voyager 1 is currently traveling at 17 kilometers every single second, but even at that speed, it won't break out of the reach of our solar system for another 30,000 years. Once we go beyond the solar system, we arrive in our interstellar neighborhood. Here we shift to the light year unit of measurement, which is the distance that light travels in a full Earth year, or about 9.461 trillion kilometers. The star Proxima Centauri here is the closest other star to us other than our sun, but it's still 4.24 light years away from us. To put that into perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is just to finally get there, and it wouldn't even exist still when you arrived. When we zoom out even further, we can see the entire Milky Way galaxy, inside of which Earth is located right here. This yellow dot is the furthest extent of humanity's radio broadcasts throughout history, which means that any possible aliens who live outside of this range are totally unaware of humanity's presence. It's complete silence outside of this yellow dot as far as we are currently aware, but the entire galaxy spans over 100,000 light years from end to end.
That's crazy.
There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets inside of our galaxy. But you have never seen the full glory of the galaxy at night, because 99% of the stars that you can see with the naked eye are limited to this small, tiny region right here.
Wow.
But even this massive galaxy is nothing compared to the rest of what's out there. Zooming out even further and we arrive at the local group of galaxies, a collection of 54 different galaxies that is about 10 million light years across. But zooming out even further and we can see the Virgo supercluster, of which the local group here is just a tiny segment of. There are at least 100 other groups of galaxies just like our own local group inside of here, and the distance from one side to the other is a mind-numbing 110 million light years. But even the massive Virgo supercluster is nothing but a quiet and tiny lobe of the great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home to our galaxy as well as 100,000.
How do we even know that this is even exists?
Yeah, that's one thing I was thinking about as well.
Because like we are like beyond a speck of a speck of a speck at this point. So I'm like, how do you even know this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the technology is out there that
Unless some
exists.
super alien like infiltrated and came here and told everyone. But like,
I don't know how they would gather this data. Obviously, we're limited in what we can see, and I think like some of it would be, they talked about as we send things out in space, it can obviously take pictures and track different areas. So like we're not limited to seeing what we're seeing from Earth any longer. But I don't know the capabilities of the technology.
Yeah,
so maybe you can.
Even that, they just said that thing the furthest object away from Earth would take like 150,000 years or something to even get to like the next star, which is like 3 galaxies smaller than this thing. So like, I don't understand.
Yeah, so I think it would be based around like signals, like waves and stuff as they send it out and get a response. That's how they can analyze in some way where there's actual matter out there.
Well, especially because all these things have names and stuff, right? So it's like...
Yeah, I think they've been found some way. But you guys can elaborate because I'm not sure.
Please let me know because I don't understand right now.
Your mind is blown?
Yeah, I don't get it. I was like...
And how big this is?
Yeah.
I know.
I can't even conceptualize this. Like
I know it's beyond conception. That's you can't conceptualize it. You can't it's like the same idea as like people don't take hold of the concept of how much $1 trillion
I was
is.
just thinking that in my head.
Right?
Like the concept of like the world's most
is.
amount of money, like how you don't know what that's like.
Yeah, and this is like beyond that
scope
of like you cannot understand how big it is. And it's beyond our capabilities of our brain to understand it. So clearly we're both having our minds blown with this one. And give us some insights down below, like we were saying about the
like how they came to all these details.
It is wild though.
Is nothing but a quiet and tiny lobe of the great Laniakea supercluster, an enormous structure that is home to our galaxy as well as 100,000 other galaxies. The distance from one side to the other is 520 million light years, but from even there we can zoom out all the way to the entire observable universe and see that even the titanic Laniakea supercluster is just a tiny and insignificant part of everything. This is the observable universe, and it contains everything that we know of. It is home to at least 2 trillion different and individual galaxies, which together contain more stars than there are grains of sand on the entire Earth. The distance from Earth to any side of the observable universe is 46.5 billion light years, which means that the entire width is 93 billion light years across. What's perhaps even more interesting, however, is what actually lies beyond the observable universe. Keep in mind that the observable universe is all that we can currently see, and it's entirely possible that the rest of the universe outside of it is vastly larger and more fantastic than we can possibly ever imagine. We simply don't know what else is out there because the light from these incredibly distant places has not yet had enough time in the universe's history to reach us yet back on Earth. And the light from some places may never reach us at all. Because some parts of space very far away from Earth are expanding away from us faster than the speed of light, that means that the light from these places will never, in an infinite amount of time, reach Earth. Meaning that even if humanity is eternal and exists forever, there will still be an unknown number of places in the universe that we will never know about or ever see. So, it is very likely that as unbelievably enormous as it seems, the observable universe is just a tiny slice of what we can currently see of the entire universe. According to the theory of cosmic inflation that was proposed by Dr. Alan Guth, if it is assumed that cosmic inflation began at 10 to the negative 37th of a second after the Big Bang, and with the assumption that the size of the universe before inflation began was equal to its age times the speed of light, then this would seem to suggest that at the present day, the entire universe is 150 sextillion times larger than the observable universe. That number for reference looks like this, with this many zeros. Let this number sink in for just a moment. This would be similar to you thinking that the entire observable universe, everything that you could see, was the size of a light bulb, but then realizing that in reality the entire universe is larger than the former planet of Pluto. Imagine a light bulb in the center of Pluto, but we inside the light bulb were totally unaware that Pluto existed outside of it, and that's a similar situation to this.
That's great.
We are all so unbelievably small, but you shouldn't worry, because all that means is that there is so much left out there for us to discover together.
That is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it's
Also, like, how can anybody ever debate the fact that obviously aliens exist? Like, if that's the size of the universe, there's other life forms out there, no doubt, somewhere.
well, yeah, that's the argument, right? Is that the universe is so huge that it's impossible for there not to be a life force somewhere.
Yeah, like, that's undisputed at this point now, after seeing this.
Yeah, I mean, I think this highlights, though, the main takeaway for me anyways is just that we don't know anything. Like, we don't know what the universe looks like. We only speculate and theorize as to what it is and how big it is, and you know, how long it's been around for and how much it's been evolving. And you know, as we get more and more tools, as we grow, we'll learn more, but we'll never learn, you know, everything there is to know about the universe, right?
Yeah, no.
And like you said, you know, one would presume that there
has to be
extraterrestrial life out there, whether they're here or not already.
Yeah.
But the other idea that people float also is that we're living in a simulation, and the universe itself is expanding, but you know, we see it expanding because it's a simulation, right? And that's like just a whole different.
That's opening a whole other can of worms.
But we'll stay on the universe is bigger than we think. Clearly, it's unimaginable.
It's like a sextillion amount bigger than I thought.
It's really crazy. Like I said, I kind of like stopped.
I didn't even know that was a number.
Pardon?
I didn't even know that was a number.
I kind of stopped trying to comprehend how big it is because I can't. Like, it's impossible. I will never, ever be able to comprehend how big it actually is because, you know, it's not within my realm of understanding. And it's just, you just have to realize how you're so insignificant.
Yeah, 100%. It's just absolutely my point.
And that's from like a small single organism. Like, we're, you know, cellular organisms that have come to be, but there's single cell organisms that are so much smaller than us. Yeah. Right? And then you think of them versus the size of the universe, right?
Even think of, well, obviously single cell organism, but like think of something like the size of like an ant compared to the whole universe.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Then we have, anyways, that was clearly we just need to digest this a little bit more, and maybe there's
that was really cool though. I thought that they did a really great job though in the video of how they use comparisons to allow you, I mean, obviously we're never going to be able to conceptualize the sizes of these things, but to give you comparisons so you could start to try to understand like the size comparisons, like how they did the light bulb with Pluto and like driving the car, how many days it would take, right, to give you something to compare it to even try to begin to understand.
Yeah, I think like you said, they did a good job at that, and I think it makes you start to be able to digest it a little, but like I said, to me, you can't.
Yeah, no, I just meant like the video was well put together.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
you cannot comprehend. I don't care if you're an expert in this field and you know how big it actually is and like how long we've been studying this for and all the research. You still, even knowing all of that, you could not like scale it out in your brain.
Definitely not.
You know?
No.
So anyways, that was crazy.
Wild.
Let us know if there's any other videos like this that you want us to check out. Hopefully you enjoyed our reaction. And
you guys probably got a good laugh at my faces a couple times.
If you want to add any insights down below, we always appreciate learning on this channel and growing, you know, what we know about the universe would be great because the universe is growing exponentially, clearly. So we might as well help us learn alongside it. Yeah. And you can add that guidance down below. You can add some recommendations. You can hit that like button for us. You can subscribe. You can come back tomorrow. We drop 2 more videos.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you then.